Rabotai, welcome to our Hilula of the Hakadosh. And welcome. Welcome to our Hilula of Hakadosh. Even though today is Dalet B'Av, it's not Hey B'Av. The real Hilula is tomorrow night. However, the Ha'arav, that Tzaddik, is already Midgaleh. Plus, I was thinking it's better to do the Hilula before. Why? So when the actual day comes of the Ari, which is tomorrow night, you'll be prepared for it. You'll want to do something about it. You understand? Especially since on Sunday, we did Tikkun HaNiftarim. It was very spiritual. I think one of the first times it was ever done in this community. A very powerful thing we did. So it's a very powerful night. This morning, Gimel B'Av was the Hilula of Rabbi Shimshon Mastropolia, who was known as also, he died by the Chemleneski pogroms. He was killed by wearing talit and tefillin by the Cossacks while wearing tefillin. And he was a big tzaddik. He's the famous Igeret, the famous letter. Every Passover, before Pesach comes in, we read that famous letter. It's a sigula to be saved from all the bad things for the whole year. Every Erev Pesach we read that. It's in everyone's machzorim. Most people skip it. And that whole Igeret is based on one thing, explanation of the Ari Hakadosh. So tonight we're going to have three things we want to do. Three questions we want to answer. Number one, I want to tell you guys how the Kabbalah, the Torah Hasod, was passed down from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Ari Hakadosh and until our times. We're going to break it down to you. And number two, we're going to, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to try to answer, what can we do to be zochet, to be successful in this limud? What is this limud all about? From the Ari Ananin, what do we do with this? What's the point of all of this? Okay, keter, chokhmah, bina, chesed, gevurah, eretz, malhot, arich, abba, ve'ima, zav, enok, kavanah. What's the point of all this? Why is it not good enough just to do Baruch Ata Hashem, Adon HaKol HaYahoriyeh, Elokeinu, Takif Bal HaYachol? Every time I say Hashem's name, I think Hashem is, was, and always will be, is the master of everything. Why isn't that enough? Why did the Ari, he freeze la'asod? He went to such an extent to be mifaresh. And on one Baruch, I remember when I was first learning, there's a kavanot inside the Shemona Yisrael of Kiryot v'Zkifot. Basically, in Shemona Yisrael, when you bow down, there's a certain way how to bow down, right? I always tell you guys this. First you bow down with your spine, then the head, then you get up with the spine and get up with the head. Baruch Atah Hashem. When you bow down 4 times, each one of these 4 times, you're doing a certain pe'ula in Shamayim. You're moving something in Shamayim. There's nothing that a Jew does that he doesn't move. So therefore, why do we need to bow down 4 times? And every one of those 4 times, what are we picking up exactly? Why do I have to have that kavanah? Why isn't it enough for me to say? It's like a person goes to a test. He doesn't understand the material, but he has a cheat sheet. And he just knows how to plug in the numbers. He gets 100. What do you want from him? He still passes the A of his class. Why do I need to know what the formula was, how I got to the formula? What's the point of all of this? But before we start, we have to say the names of the sponsors. So first of all, our shiur is Leilun Nishmat, Ze'ev ben Reuven, Moshe ben Nekadam, Eliezer ben Sarah, David ben Zina, Gabriel ben Sarah, and for the success of the anonymous sponsor. And for the second anonymous sponsor, for his success, his family, bracha, parnasa, refuah, leida kala leishto, zot Hashem yivarach. And the third sponsor, Yitzchako family, bracha, v'atzlacha, yishot gedolot, parnasa tova, v'shefa rav. So first of all, I want to talk to you guys, how did the Ari Hakadosh pass away? How did he die? To understand how he died is specifically connected to the 3 weeks which we mourn the Chorban Beit HaMikdash. Specifically connected. The reason why he died on the Hey B'Av, which is 4 days before Tisha B'Av, is a specific reason. He died because of the Chorban Beit HaMikdash. He was 38 when he passed away. The Ari was Ashkenazi. His name, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi. In Kabbalah, there's no kind of thing Sfaradi and Ashkenazi. You should know that. There's no kind of thing, I'm Moroccan, I'm this, I'm that. You're a Jew. You do the minhag of the Zohar, of the Ari. Everyone follows the same path. There's no million pathways. But when you get to the Pshat, to the regular oral Torah, the Mishnah, the Gemara, then you have suddenly hundreds of minhagim, this, that, everything changes. But when you get to the Ari Hakadosh and to the Zohar, there's only one way. In the Zohar, everything is black and white. There's no gray areas. So when I say the Ari was Ashkenazi, it doesn't matter. He's Ashkenazi, Sfaradi, it doesn't make a difference. He was His father was Ashkenazi, his mother was a Sfaradia.
Perfect mix.
The perfect mix. His father passed away when he was young. He was very young. He was raised in his uncle. He was very rich in Mitzrayim. He used to collect the taxes for the docks. From the docks, the Ari Hakadosh, his uncle. When he was a young boy, the Ari Hakadosh, in the Shara Gilgulim, it says there are 4 people who come back in a Gilgul. 4 people. 1, to fix an Avera. People who come to fix an Averot, which is, it's safe to say, almost all of us, he will sin when he comes back. Why will he do Averot when he comes back in a Gilgul, says the Ari? Because he's coming back to not do those Averot, and he's doing them again. You understand? That's the whole point. For example, the Ari Hakadosh explains from the Shabbat and Mishpatim, the part of the Zohar, which talks only about Gilgulim. The Zohar talks about what happens when a woman passes away and she gets remarried when she's an almanah. What happens if a woman is divorced and she gets remarried? What happens to a man who marries a divorced woman? What happens to their kids? What kind of souls are their kids? For example, the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says a person who's born from a divorced union or from an almanah, let's say yibum, sometimes the neshama switches from a male neshama, a zachar, a boy, not the body, the neshama, and it switches to the female's neshama. It switches to a nekeva. What's the difference? What's the difference? Male neshamot, how could you tell the difference between them? Male neshamot always want to give. They don't like to take. They're givers. You understand? There's charim, they give. They just want to give. Female neshamot, they're just takers. They want to take. What can I do for myself? What am I doing for myself? What am I doing to make my life better? They don't see the cloud. They don't see the bigger picture, right? They see themselves. Now, both are important, the negative and the positive. Like the Yeshaya says, Nekeva tesolev gaver. The female has to surround the male. Just like in an atom, you have the protons in the middle, and the electrons cause the whole covalent bonds. That means without the negativity, you cannot connect 2 atoms together, right? So too, in Sefer Yeshaya, that's what it says. That's why the Ashkenazim have a minhag to the woman surrounds the Hatan 7 times, some do 20 times, hakafot they do. Yeah, like a smell, she's sniffing the blood. that's the so a male. So sometimes, for example, the Zohar says that Oved, the father of Yishai, Oved. Remember Ruth? She was supposed to marry a guy called Ploni Almoni, right? Yeah. What was his real name? You guys know what his real name was? His real name was Tov. Rashi says it was Tov. He didn't want to... Tov. Yeah, Tov. Good. And he didn't want to marry her because he didn't want to marry a Yebama. He didn't want to marry Ruth. So who married her instead? His brother. Who was his brother? Boaz. Boaz married Ruth. That means it's Boaz's nephew's wife. This is Boaz's nephew's wife. So when he marries Ruth, she has a baby. He dies the next day. He gets her pregnant. He's like 140 years old or something, like 340, something like that. Some really crazy number. Very old. His real name was not Boaz. His real name was Afzan. That was his real name. He was a shofet. But why is he called Boaz? Why Boaz? He was called. Imagine a woman sneaks into your bed in the middle of the night and she tells you, and she's a goya. She's a goya. She's like, let's go. At that moment, when he woke up and saw her, at that second he wanted to, Shefet Yehuda. They want to go for it. So, but he held himself. He was Az. He held himself. He was strong. He was Boaz. He was strong. He said, "Lady, you could stay. You could stay. I'm gonna go. I'll see you tomorrow in Beit Din. Let's do this the right way." And like this, he fixed Yehuda. Remember Yehuda and Tamar? Right. When he saw Tamar, he was like, "Let's do this." Right? For good reasons, he did that. Right? He didn't know it was his daughter-in-law. And then Boaz was Yehuda, and Ruth was Tamar. You understand? So that came back in a whole circle to fix itself. And who came out of that union? David comes in 3 generations. Oved. His name was Oved. Oved. Why was he called Oved? So the Ari says Oved's neshama, since he came from a levirate marriage, was a nekeva. It was a female. And people who are female souls, it's hard for them to bring kids to this world. They have a very tough time in life. Very tough time. But since he was Oved al atzmo, he worked on himself, he broke on himself, he took his neshama from the bottom, to the female, and he almost reached it to the male. Almost he made himself zachar. He didn't reach till the end, but he was such a tzaddik, he brought kids, and he had children, and he broke his ta'avot. His son Yishai was even better. Why? Yishai, he never sinned in his life. He never did an avera. So he took his shoresh and he torpedoed it. Then David came. When David came, it was the first time he came to this world, says the Ari Hakadosh. So therefore, his neshama was full of the klipa. For 3,000 years, his neshama was inside the garbage, in the dumps. So when his soul first came out, that's why he's always run after in his life. Everyone always wants to kill him. Doeg wants to kill him. Achitofel wants to kill him. His son wants to kill him. His daughter does with his son. His father-in-law wants to kill him. His wife laughs at him. And you see it, the book of Tehillim, if you understand what you're reading, it's impossible not to shed a tear or two. If you're a sensitive person, the guy really went through a tough time. And Dari explains, because even though Yishai took the shoresh, the root, and took it all the way to the top, when David came, he had to start from the beginning. Because it was the first time he came to this world. When you're the first time in this world, you have a lot of challenges. Understand? He had a lot of challenges. But David took that and he took it to the next level. But David's soul was a nekeva. It wasn't a zachar soul. Just like Yitzchak, remember Yitzchak Avinu? Why did he have to die? To switch that neshama. Also Chavakuk HaNavi. Remember the boy that Elisha HaNavi brought back to life? Yeah. He had to die and come back to life because his soul was female. You understand? That's why David never reached Nivu'ah. Nivu'ah is prophecy. He only reached Ruach HaKodesh. Because Ruach HaKodesh comes from the negative parts of the world. Of the worlds. The nekeva, the malhot, the shechira. But the Nivu'ah comes from the zachar. Like Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama. Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama was not just zachar. It included all the neshamot inside of him. He was 600,000 pieces in one piece. Could you imagine the height of that soul? But on the other hand, who was a nekeva soul? Yoshua bin Nun. Yoshua bin Nun, right? The face of Moshe is like the sun. The face of Yoshua is like the moon. Why does the Torah compare him to the moon?
Because the sun gives the
exactly. The sun is the giver. He's the zachar. The moon is the nekeva. She's the taker. That's why Yoshua never had any baby boys. He only had girls. And he couldn't have them. The Gemara brings a reason because he stopped Klal Yisrael from having children one night. He made them all learn Torah one night, Mishmar, until the morning. Yeah, it was the night before the war. I mean, you're a night before the war. Who cares what you're going to do? You're going to go right now. The Am Yisrael was so sure when they went to fight Yericho. It was for them. What do you mean? Tomorrow? It's a walk in the park. A woman's night, the ona, it's her ona, the mikvah night. After do the mitzvah. You're not allowed to be mevatel Am Yisrael even for one night. That's why it's a very big question. A woman says, I want to push off my mikvah night. She can't just push it off. She doesn't have a good reason. She's doing a big avera. And even if she cannot have kids anymore, even if she has IUD, which this itself is a question. Who gave you permission to take IUD, birth control, this and that? Who gave you permission to do that? Klal Yisrael, we're here to bring children to this world. There's no permission just to say, I quit, I stop. The first mitzvah on the Torah. But that's not our point right now. The Ari Hakadosh, so the Ari Hakadosh, he reveals though, some people, Ari? Oh, we're going to talk about him in a minute. When the Ari was born, so David was Adam, that's true. Where does that make a difference? Okay, it's a good question. Maybe if we have a shiur on Shar Gilgulim, in one sentence, Adam, everyone was in Adam. You understand? When I say it's David's first time, it's his first time as David. Not as in Adam, as a human being in his own thing. In fact, David HaMelech was not just Adam, he was also Cain. He was also the Gilgul of Cain. That's why he was always a bloodshedder. He was always like to go out to the war. You understand? Because he was Cain too. It's Shorosh Neshama. Anyways, it's not a shiur about the Shorosh Neshama of David. We could talk about this all night because Mashiach is directly connected to David. We're trying to talk about the Ari Hakadosh. The Ari Hakadosh says that some people are brought to this world to fix an avera. Those guys, 90% of the time, they do averot again. That's why Hashem created teshuvah. Second thing, person to do a mitzvah, he comes to this world. If a person comes to this world to do a mitzvah, almost 100% Hashem is going to be with him. It's such siyata d'shmai, he will never do an avera. Why? The guy is coming to do mitzvot. He's not coming to fix. He's coming to add. So Hashem gives him siyata d'shmai and to do averot. Okay, that's the second. And the third level of the neshama is a person who's not supposed to come even. B'gilgul. He's only here to teach Torah to other people. That's the third level. Then the fourth level, which is the scariest level, if you come to this world to finish learning Torah that you missed.
Why is it scary?
It's scary because that means you got to keep on learning. You got to keep on. And how do you know which Torah is connected to you the most? Usually the one that you want, that you like the most.
Enjoy.
If you enjoy it the most, if you're connected to it the most, if you feel like I have to learn this, Hashem gives you that siyata deshmaya. Now a lot of people, says the Ari Hakadosh in the beginning, the Ari says, a lot of people say, why should we learn secrets of the Torah? Sodot. Why should we learn Sodot? It's enough to learn Gemara, Mishnah, you get Gishmak, you get Heilige, right? Why do I have to learn the Sodot Torah? The Ari says, the big ta'ud, those people are stopping Mashiach from coming. Why? Because those people, specifically them, those Talmidei Chachamim, Rashi Yeshivot, who are closing the book. Why do Ashkenazim, most Ashkenazim, they close the Sodot Torah? We don't want to hear anything about it. Oh, when you hear the word Kabbalah or Sod or Zohar, they make a joke out of it. Like it's some joke. Why they do that? 300 years ago, there was a Mishuga. His name was Shabbatai Tzvi. He made everyone crazy. The Ashkenazim followed him so badly. When he came out to be a Muslim, when he converted to Islam, they all became Mishugaim. Now every person who comes starts to learn a little Zohar, he's already became Chas Shalom the next Shabbatai Tzvi. Shem Rishayim Yirkav. Something happened 300 years ago. Still, I mean, you guys are sensitive. It still attaches to them so much. That's why to learn the secrets of the Torah, you need a Rebbe. You can't learn online.
Rabbi Google.
You can't learn online. Wikipedia. Do you know in colleges today, in Eretz Yisrael, Bar Ilan University, it could be even here they have this too. They have classes, Kabbalah 101, Kabbalah 102, and they teach mamash. I once heard a lecture of a guy teaching Yichudim, Megalech Batar, with the razor, mamash like a goy, he's Israeli. He's giving a shiur how to meditate on Shem Havaya from the Ari Hakadosh. They learn it as a subject. They learn it as of course not, because it doesn't affect them, because they learn it as a subject. They're not learning it to connect to Hashem Yitbarach. And these are professional speakers. They could grab an attention of 500 people in an auditorium, these guys. Do you know there in the Bar Ilan University, there's the original manuscript of the Rambam's work, Mishnah Torah? You know who brought it to Israel? Bukharian, or Shlomo Musayev. They convinced him to donate it to Bar Ilan University. He said, okay, I'll donate to you. He didn't know what university, Bukhari, whose university is. In Samarkand.
Sign here.
Yeah, they said, okay, I'll give it to you. They said, no, they said, we're going to learn it. True story. I heard it from his grandson. We're going to learn from it. Okay, I'll give it to you guys on one condition. Every time you learn from it, you have to wear a hat and jacket. Out of kavod to the Rambam. No hat. No jacket, no Torah, no mitzvot, no shum davar, klum, efes afazim. Why? It's Erev Rav. That's how they take the nitzvot like the kedusha. We gotta take those nitzvot back. So the four people. Now the Ari Hakadosh, he didn't come down to this world to fix averot. He didn't come down to this world to do mitzvot. He didn't come down to this world to learn Torah. Ari Hakadosh was the Gilgul of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He had in him Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He had in him Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol. And he was the nefesh, the nefesh of Atzilut of Hevel. Hevel, the son of Adam Arishon. You know who Ari Hakadosh was? In his Shorosh Neshama, you have Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. You have Rabbi Hamnuna Saba. You have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You have all the giants. VIP section. Not Reuven. Reuven was Cain from one side. He did come back as Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol, but from one other side, Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol was also new in one sense, so he was the Ari Hakadosh too, in that sense. So why did the Ari come down to learn? The Ari said, I come down to learn one student. That means you could be the greatest tzaddik in the world, but you come down to this world only for one person, for teaching one person. Rabbi Chaim Vital. Now Rabbi Chaim Vital, I'm telling you crazy now. Rabbi Chaim Vital said, he was Italian, right? Rabbi Chaim Vital. His real last name was Calabria. He was from Calabria, his family. His father was Rabbi Yosef Vital. Yosef. His brother was Rabbi Moshe. He had a brother, Moshe. In Sefer HaGilgulim, not Shar HaGilgulim. In Sefer HaGilgulim, it says over there that his brother, the Ari told him, was supposed to be 10 times higher than you. 10 times higher, but since of a certain Avera he did in the last Gilgul, he died young. That was the Ari's son, Moshe. Because of this is the Chaim Vital's brother, his Torah, how you say it's blood, it's a blockage over there, and you're higher than him. So Rabbi Chaim Vital doesn't say what was the Avera. Rabbi Shimon Agassi, whose your side is this Friday, Thursday night, Friday, Mishmar night. Rabbi Shimon Agassi does say what the Avera was. Any Talmid Chacham who Hamidga'eh, who has the ego on his Torah, if he has to come back, and he will come back, his Torah already, there's a blockage over there. He has to now learn from other people. He cannot get a Torah from his own right now. So even though his brother's Shorish Neshama was 10 times higher than his, because he had gaba, there's another Avera that causes you to have blockage from Torah too. The Ari Hakadosh revealed that too, in Shivchei Ha'ari. I don't know if I should tell you guys this, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways, because you asked so nicely. Any person who does that Avera causes him to have a dog tied to him with chains. You know what Avera that is?
Yes.
I'll give you a hint, Yosef and Potiphar. Anyone who does that Avera, his Torah, not in the next Gilgul, in this Gilgul gets blocked. He has to break that Klippa. It's a very big Avera. It's a very big Avera. To be mitaken that. How do you be mitaken that? Like one guy asked me, I did with my wife Nida. I was with her Nida. I'm going to tell the guy right now, get naked, roll in the snow 7 times. I'm not going to tell him that. He's going to freak out. So I told him, Nida is karet. Karet, right? So that, no, don't jump off anything. No, it's karet. How do you fix a karet? What's the letters of karet? Chaf, taf, karesh, taf. Chaf, resh, taf. Take the resh, put it at the end, and put the taf in the middle. What do you get? Keter. So when you do nida, you cutting off the keter, says the Ari. How do you get the keter back? So the Ari says, look at the animals of the world. Which animals symbolize keter? Huh? Lions? No, lions are not. Lions are givura. Aryeh is the numerical value of givura. That's why when they would see the korban, what would they see? If they had schut, they would see like a fire, like a lion eating the korban, because Aryeh is givura. 216, huh? Bull? Bull is super givura. Bull gores, it's a nizikim. I'll give you a hint. We eat it on Shabbat. It's a mitzvah. Fish. Nunei yama. The fish, dagim. Why dagim?
Under the water, you can see them.
The keter, the dog. The keter. The dog. The eyes are always open. They never sleep. And what does it say by the sphero of keter when Hashem reveals in the keter? Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. So therefore, so that means a person who did the nida, he has to eat a lot of fish now? No. If you want to bring the keter, you have to be like a fish. Fish don't sleep. So the Ari says you have to learn Torah all night. If you learn Torah all night and not sleeping, your mamshich back. One time is for one nida. One time. So you stay up all night, you learn Torah. And by doing that, now there are days of the year when one night you stay up, you can fix multiple times. Shavuot night. Hoshana Rabbah. Shavavim is very strong time to do Tikkun Abarit. Understand? So that means in the animals itself there is connections of sphirot, because all the animals are sphirot too. All human beings, we're all sphirot. We're all partsufim. That means the sphirot break down, says the Ari, into 5 systems. Arich Anpin. Do you guys know, says the Ari, what time of the year is Arich Anpin, which is the system of keter revealed? I'll give you a hint, it's coming up soon. Tisha B'Av is a Horban, Rabotai. Where are you? Rosh Hashanah, but not Rosh Hashanah. It starts earlier, Rosh Hashanah. Selichot, Ya Shema Evyoneh. Why do we pray? Look at the Sfaradim, how strong they were. Ashkenazim don't have this minhag. They didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't have like this kind of Ariyakah. They didn't learn it. They learned, but not like us, right? So why do we daven to Hashem specifically during that time? The king is in the field. What's that? A king is actually walking in the field? Well, a king is in the field. Hashem does not walk in fields. It's a mashal. What does a king wear? A keter. He's a crown. The keter is opened up for 40 days. I'll give you guys another hint. Where could we find keter? Where could we find keter? Oh, that's true, very nice. There's a keter Torah, kol hakavod.
You can find
keter. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with the number 42. Something that has 40 of something. Tefillin has 40 what? Let's hear. Don't throw out words that you don't know. Huh? Ana Bekoch is 42. 42.
And you said how much?
What mitzvah has 40 se'ah? I'll give you guys another hint. Mikveh. The mikveh. Mikveh has 40 se'ah, just like the 40 days from Selichot time until Yom Kippur. What else? Who can tell me which mitzvah that people don't do today, which you could do? We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Whoever does this, very good. I didn't even say it, you know. Which mitzvah? When you do this mitzvah, you're in a constant state of keter. Constant. You're always keter. You're in a constant, like it's a super kedusha. It's called nazir. That's why the nazir has to grow his hair very long. His hair turns into kedusha. Why are you supposed to take a haircut?
From Tumah to Kedusha?
Huh? That's not Tumah, it's din. It's gvura. It's din. By accepting upon yourself Nizirut, you automatically become a keter. By the words of a Jew. By the words of a Jew. What else is keter? One last thing about keter. What else is mamshich keter? What holiday is keter? Here, I'll give you guys the hint. Shavuot. Shavuot. You said keter Torah. Your wife is malhot. The Shekhinah is the malhot. The malhot has the ability to turn you into keter. Because what's another name for the malhot? What word? How do we call the malhot in Kabbalistic dictionary? Ayin. Ani. I said the woman, she always wants me. iPhone. This is the generation of malhot. All the iPhone, iShmax, iPacs, iPac-Man, I don't know. All the eyes. Well, this eye is coming here. So we're all from the generation of the heel of the Adam. Harishon says the Ari Hakadosh. That's why we're all about the eye. What can I do for myself? We don't look at the klal. So the eye is ani. How do you say eye? Ani. Nachon? Ani. Aleph. How do you spell ani? Aleph nun yud. The sphera of the malhut is known for gaba. Hashem says the gaba is mine. Hagava vagedula lechai olami. Hashem has gaba. Hashem malach geut lavish. Hashem wears gaba. It's only, but when you have gaba, Hashem says I'm out of here. Because we can't compete. I'm not competing with you. You want to have gava? Take it for yourself. So ani is gava. But this ani, aleph nun yud, could be switched to aleph yud nun, ayin. What's ayin? Total humbleness. I'm nothing. Who are the three most humble people? Three kings of the world. Moshe was the king. David king. Who was the first humble guy? Abraham Avinu. What did they call Abraham? Nesi Elokim. You are president of God. He was a king. Abraham was a successful general. He was a successful teacher, and he was a multi-millionaire. And he never had gava. How do you know he never had gava? What story about Abraham shows us he never had gava?
When he bought the land. The tent.
When he bought the land of the Marat HaMachpelah. Remember that story too? But in Marat HaMachpelah was even more greater. Why? The guy's wife just died. Hashem just told him for the fourth time, you're getting Eretz Yisrael. What does he do to Bnei Chet? He bows down to them. Bows down to them. And he pays them the kesef maleh. How much kesef he pays them? 400. Again, 40 times 10, 400. And instead to be mamshich the keter. And instead, all your life you always have to look for keter. How do you get the keter? In midot. What's the sphera of keter in your midot? Anger is the malhut. It's the opposite of anger. What's keter? Keter is total patience. Total patience. No, there's no kind of thing I have to get whatever I want now. Procrastination. Total procrastination. Keter is always satisfied. Keter is the most perfect creation. The most perfect creation. The first sphera that God created was what? Keter. Keter, his face is always looking up, not down. Why is he always looking up? What can I do for you, my master? And he's the most perfect creation. Understand? Right now, who knows what world we're living in right now? We're in Asiyah, true, very good. You guys come to the Shari Kiddush Shiur Gadol. But what sphera is this 6,000 years pertaining to? I just gave you a hint. 6,000 years, huh? 6. What sphera is a 6? From Chesed until Yisod, you have to say. From Chesed until Yisod. That means the first 1,000 years, says the Ari, was Chesed. Second, Gevurah. Fourth, Fourth, Netzach. Fifth, Hod. That's why Hod is the hardest sphera. It's the vinegar. That's why all the killings, pogroms was in the fifth, was in that millennium, the 5,000 years. And now we're in the year of the Yesod. That's why all the garbage of the Yesod is coming out now. All the Sumbulistan, this, that, everything is coming out right now. Right now more than any time else. Do you know Sarah was greater prophet than Abraham? How? Sarah was malhot, she's the Shekhinah. How did she get the level of prophecy? Victor Miller said something crazy. He says because she was always home. Home. She was always in the home. Abraham had to have interactions with this guy, with Paro, with Pichol, with Avimelech. You think he took the klippah from everybody? He couldn't reach the level of prophecy that Sarah. You see, when God created the world, you're supposed to be those 6 sphero because we're living in that time frame from Chesed until Yesod. You're that. Right? You're basically what we call in the system Ze'er Anpin. I'm teaching you guys secrets right now. This is called Ze'er Anpin. Your wife is your completion. What is she? The malhot. That's why, what does God call her in the Torah when He first makes her? I will make you, what are the words in Hebrew? Ezer kenegdo. A helper for you. I will make you a helper. Why a helper? Why is she a helper? Because you're 6, you need the 7th, you need the Shabbat. Your wife is the Shabbat. How do we know we're getting to the times of Mashiach? How do we know we're getting really close? Instead of the wives being the Ezer, v'nahafochu, asher yishletu, chule v'chule. Don't want to finish the sentences. And now they're taking care of the household. Now they're in charge. Why, says the Ari Hakadosh? In Shara Gilgulim, I told you guys this many times if you remember. Why are the women in control?
Because they never sinned.
They never sinned. When? In the Egel HaZahav. In the Egel HaZahav. That one Averah, and the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says how many pieces of Tum'ah came down to this world? How much dinim, judges, came down to this world because of the Egel HaZahav? How much? How many barrels of dinim? 7. 4.
40.
Nice one. 24. Why 24?
24 books.
24 talent. Why 24 books? What's 24 corresponding to? Now I'm going to tell you a secret why Mashiach is not here yet.
24 hours?
From the Ari Hakadosh. 24 hours. B'diuk. Kachal. Now I'm going to tell you the secret of all secrets. If you understand this, you could understand why we're missing so much and why we're crying on Tisha B'Av. If you cannot cry on Tisha B'Av, you got to do soul searching. But I don't blame you guys. How come you guys? Because you guys are so, you're so into the mundane. You don't have time. Your brain does. You're not giving your brain time to breathe. You're not giving it time to breathe because when you're not working, you're on your phone. You're not giving that brain. What's supposed to be that time out of the day? Even when you're learning Torah, your brain is working. When are you sleeping? You're not thinking. Tikkun Chatzot. Who does Tikkun Chatzot? Tefillah. You're close. Tefillah. Tefillah is supposed to be your time out break. That's why when people come to the shul, and the Zohar speaks very badly against this, people want to sit by the edge of the shul. Why? When it's time to go, it's like a torpedo, he's out. Why? The Zohar says, "Me be careful, be careful." Who asked you to come to my house? Who asked you to come? Nobody asked you to come. You go pray at home. Pray at home. Why are you coming to my house and then you're running away? But I don't blame you guys because we're the Yesod. We're the last. We have that all that. I told you guys, the average teen today is 12 hours on his phone. That's half a day. Half a day. And he's not looking at stocks. I can tell you that. Okay? So why 24? So I'll tell you a secret. When Hashem created the world, B'zchut Ari Hakadosh. It's one of my favorite sugyot in Etz HaChaim. It's called Shar Mi'ut HaYareach. When Hashem created the world, the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the infinite, He created this world to give us. To give us. To give us, the world had to go through something we say in Kabbalah, Hishtalshelut. A dilution. A dilution. Why does Hashem need to be so diluted? Because we can't, it's like when you have a cup of hot tea, lahavdil. If you get it right from the samovar, what's going to happen to your mouth? It's going to burn. You need to let it cool. Pour some cold water on it. Let it cool down. So too, when we get Hashem's ha'ara, it's like a really sunny day, we need to put blinds. Right? So when the blinds come in, when the sun comes in, it gets covered by the blinds. When Hashem created this world, He created 5 systems. Arich Anpin, Abba Ve'ima, Za and Nuk. Right now we're in Za and Nuk. We're in 7,000 years. The world is 6,000 years. Olam Haba is the 7,000 year. When we're going to get to Olam Haba, which is Keter Meitim, there's no death anymore. Because we went through the lowest level. Now we're in Bina, we're in Ima, we're in the world of Bina consciousness. There's no more death, but there's also no more food and drink. The Gemara compares it to having wings and flying over water. Go figure out what that means. I trust you, it doesn't mean you're going to have wings and fly over water. Because nobody will want to go to Olam Haba. Okay, it's a metaphor for something. After the world of 7,000, the Gemara says cryptically the world is going to go back to zero, to zilch. It'll go back to ex nihilo, finito. The Ari says it's not exactly like that, because after the world of Bina, when you go a level up, what world do you reach? What consciousness? Chokhmah, Abba. In the world of Abba, which midah is that of Abba, of Chokhmah? It's in the Pirkei Avot. Siag lechokhmah, shtika. So we don't know exactly because it's b'shtika. The Abba is b'shtika. That's why the Gemara calls it ex nihilo. Like we don't know. It's like b'shtika. We don't know what's going on over there. After ex nihilo, after Chokhmah, we're supposed to reach in the next 1,000 years the 10,000th year. Nobody talks about this. The 10,000th year is the world of keter. In the world of keter, you have to be able to reach such a level where you could converse with God all the time. To such a level you have to reach, you have to converse. You will be able to have a zivug just by thinking. There is no physical anymore. Already when the world of Bina comes, the world of Olam Haba, there is no kind of thing skin. This skin happened after the sin of Adam HaRishon. Now look what Adam HaRishon caused when he did the Avera. It was right before Shabbat. He was 1 hour away from Olam Haba. That means all the 6,000 years that we're living through right now was supposed to be taken care of in 1 hour. In 1 hour. Look what he did, Adam HaRishon. In that 1 hour, he named all the animals. That means he had such chokhmah. He knew the language of God, Lashon HaKodesh. You know, Rav Miller says, how do we know we're the eternal nation? We're the chosen nation. We're the only nation and religion in the world that has not changed since Abraham. Our language has never changed. Look at the last 200 years. Australia, Australians, English, Americans, they all have different words for things. Even at 200 years, the language has changed a bit. You understand? Different dialects. The Jewish religion and nation has never changed. When Adam HaRishon ate from the Etz Hadat, whatever that meant, because it wasn't a dat like this, it wasn't in the tree like in this world. He was not in that level, plane of existence. He was not in Asiyah. He was Vapshe in Yitzirah. He was not in Asiyah. Because the Torah is given in Asiyah, we talk in that language. Says the Ari. When he ate from the Etz Hadat, what was he basically doing? Look what the crazy Avera that he did. Adam was 100% conscious when he ate from the Etz Hadat. He knew what he was doing, and he did it anyways. Why? When Adam was born, his intellect completely overpowered his material. Completely. When the snake told him, you're going to be like Elokim. Why did he say Elokim, not Havaya? Because Elokim is din, it's Asiyah. It says, you will be like Elokim. The snake says, he knew what Adam wanted most. What's the one thing you could give a person that has that's the smartest, that knows it all? What could you give him to tempt him? Forbidden knowledge. If you tell more chokhmah. So the snake tells him, let me open to a world to you that's such a chokhmah that you never tasted it before. Adam says, that's impossible. How could a person do an Avera? The snake says, yes, it's possible. And it's in that one sentence that he talks to Chava. V'tere oto, ki tovhu, ki nechmada etz la'askil. So many different languages talk about the tree. And Adam was flabbergasted. He's like, how is it possible for a person to do an Avera? He had such control over his intellect, over his material. It was impossible for him to do an Avera. But he wanted to know, how does it feel? Because he didn't believe it. You understand? And that's why he ate it. Once he ate it, nothing changed. It's him and his wife. But suddenly he realized he was naked. He wasn't naked before. You think Adam became crazy after the sin? He was still the biggest tzaddik. He fasted for 130 years sitting in a river. Understand? He separated from his wife for 130 years. He was still the greatest tzaddik. Understand? When we pass away, the Zohar says, who do we meet in the gates of Gan Eden? After Gehenom Kafakela, we're going to go to Gan Eden. Who do we meet? That's in Gehenom. If you're lucky, he saves you. And we're going to get to the Gan Eden, and then we're going to see Adam Harishon. And he's going to we're going to ask him, Adam, why did you do the Avera? Adam is going to say, I did one Avera. You did 600,000 Averot a day. What are you going to tell me? If you were there, you would have done much crazier. But Adam made the Avera because he wanted to know, what does it feel like when you have a test? He had no test in life. He had no test. And when he did that, he caused a chain reaction that it's taking now, guys, listen to this, 6,000 years to fix. That means all the 6,000 years, what are we basically doing? We're reliving the 6 days of creation, says the Ari. You get it now? Because Adam got to Friday afternoon. He made the Avera, he pressed restart. He pressed restart. Yeah. Now we're back to day one. And the whole world is darkness until Avraham came. He was the light. That's why he's called Avraham. Everma. He's the chesed. He's the light. He was that light of the first day of creation. You understand? And we keep on going through the motions. That means what Adam did in one human being, it's taking 15 million Jews a generation to fix. 15 million. And when we're going to get to Mashiach, who's Mashiach?
He himself.
Adam himself.
Adam.
So Adam has to now finish the job. That was his tikkun. How is he going to make a tikkun? There's no more etz hadat. It means we have to go back. All of our job is to go back to that original day of creation, that Friday. That moment. And we're going to get to that moment. And this time, we're going to be better prepared. Because why are we going to be better prepared, says the Ari? Because of the Zohar Hakadosh. If it wasn't for the Zohar, we would not know that all this is what's going on. We just think, we're just going through the motions. And Mashiach comes, shofar, yalla, bet HaMikdash, let's bring some korbanot. No! And once Adam eats from that, once we get back to the Etz Hadat, this time we're not going to eat from it. We're going to wait until Shabbat. And that era is called Yemei HaMashiach. That's the era of Mashiach. That means Mashiach's era is not supposed to be long. It could be a day, it could be 2 days, it could be 40 years, who cares? Mashiach's era is just the bridge to get to the real goal. What's the real goal? Elef HaShvi'i, the next consciousness, Shabbat, to get to Olam Haba. That's why a person who doesn't keep Shabbat is a Nebach. Chaval al Azman. Chaval al Azman, a person doesn't keep Shabbat. A person doesn't keep Shabbat, he's missing the point. Because what do you think the next, that Olam Haba 1,000 years is? What is that? Yom Shekulo Shabbat. It's only Shabbat. It's Shabbat. But not Shabbat like we think. It's a Shabbat in a higher consciousness. I will finish with we didn't answer any of the questions we said we were going to start, right? I think it was somewhere in there, right? I want to tell you guys one, I will finish with a pasuk from Yoel HaNavi. But I think the Ari Hakadosh, we really nailed what the Ari Hakadosh is all about. I want to tell you a pasuk of the Navi Yoel, which is a proof for what all I've been saying. The Navi Yoel says there will be a day, it's the prophet Yoel in the Trei Asar, the 12 prophets. It's written, one of the 24 books. In that day, I will pick up from you, from your sons and daughters, Nizirim, Nazarites. And I will pick up from you, Nibi'im, prophets. And even the maid servants will start to prophesy. That means any being in this planet will have such a... That's why the Goyim... Why do I find it so funny that those 3 rich bozos, Jeff Bezos, the bozo, and Musk, and Branson, why do they want to go up to space? The Klippa is reaching the state that he has nothing to do already. He's bored? The Klippa doesn't know where to go. What's the next thrill? Space.
Yeah, send the clip.
Why didn't he go down to the core? He should have went down, not up. and say, let him go down to Gehinnom. They're bored. The Klippa already doesn't know what to do with himself. He's going crazy. So what's going to happen? Why did that guy, JC, Yamach Shemom Zichro, Yoshkal, how come he was called the Nazareth? You know why he called himself the Nazareth? Because which sphera is the Nazir? Keter. JC wanted to make a pegam in the keter. We got to bring the keter back. וביום ההוא יהיה השם אחד ושמו אחד ויהיו אדוני לעולם אמן ואמן רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר